I got one question for you. Who do you want to make your sandwich? Is it this lovely individual right here, or is it this guy right here? I mean, check out that mustache, right? Whoa, okay. So, who do you want to make your sandwich? If the answer is not this guy, then I think you might not like sandwiches, because this guy right here doesn't necessarily, he's not necessarily going to make you a sandwich. You might get bread, and you might get peanut butter, and you might get jelly, but you might not get a sandwich. And if you're like, what is he talking about? I mean, there is a certain order to how things are done, right? You don't just grab some bread. This is my drawing of bread. And you don't just throw jelly on the counter and then start to mix them together, right? That's not the order of how this goes. So we need to talk about the fact that this is the order of how we do math. You want to deal with the parentheses first. Then you want to deal with the exponents. And then notice multiply / divide are in the same box. And so is add and subtract. So what this is this is the order that we do them. You start here, and by the way, when I say here, I should have put that there. You start there. By the way, I like to use stars for start, because it's the word, that's how the word start begins. Anyway, and you go this direction. You go this direction. So let me fill in this arrow so it's super duper obvious. You go that direction. But like I just said, these guys are in the same category together. They are on the same level. I'm going to write that here. They're on the same level. And you know what? So are these guys. They're on the same level. Same level. And then something else I'm going to write for you is that parentheses, you might have learned this as groups. So maybe you learned it as GEMDAS, and if you're like, GEMDAS, what the heck is he talking about? GEMDAS. Imagine saying that as a word, right? And then the one other thing I want to do before we get too much further down the road is that I usually have this written in the room somewhere. PEMDAS. Ooh, there we go. PEMDAS. And yeah, you start here and you go that direction. And there's more to it later that we're going to talk about. But this is the order you do it in, okay? This is how you make a sandwich. That's the order. This guy, great at giving orders. This guy, it's just good that he got his shirt on going the right direction. You know what I'm saying? He's the whatever guy. All right. So I'll try and go into different voices and be like, this is how I talk. You do exactly as I say. And this guy's like, what? You just do it like this. So that's, you'll know when I am the different guy, okay? So what I mean is, as we look at these, you need to identify what to do first. And what you do first is you start at the start. You start with the parentheses. So 6 minus 5 is 4. And here's what I'm going to do next. I'm going to just copy down literally everything else that's left behind. I like to use colors to communicate. So the 4 drops down. The minus 1 minus. And then that's just 4. 6. You know what? That's not 4. I don't know where I don't know how I got 4 out of that. That's 1. Okay, great. So now what do you do? Now, if you are the guy who's like, hey, how you do it the way I say, you go back up here and you go, hey, you know what? Those guys are on the same level. Those guys are on the same level. So when I'm not sure, I just make sure to go left to right. So down here, let's start on the left. 4 minus 1 is 3. And then we have, I'm not going to switch too many colors because this will take forever if I do. 3 minus 1, because this just drops down. 3 minus 1 is 2. That is the answer, because we followed Mr. Drill Sergeant's, drill instructor, whatever they're called, we followed their instructions. Now, what if I'm the whatever guy, and I'm just like, you know what? let's just do 4 minus 1 minus 6 minus 5. Okay, 4 minus 1 is 3. And then, yeah, we've got minus 6 minus 5. 3 minus 6 is negative 3. Minus 5, we get negative 8. This is the wrong answer. The whatever guy torched us. Doesn't work out. It's not negative 8. Now, let's be honest. I think most of you are smart enough to know this is not how it's done. But I'm using a little bit of humor, a little bit of exaggeration to go, listen, you have to do these in a certain order, okay? Otherwise, you can create other numbers in math and even convince other people that you're right. But if you give me a sandwich that looks like it was thrown together and mixed with a spoon, I'm not eating that sandwich, okay? So, next, we have, in fact, here's something I didn't do in the last problem, is write out PEMDAS. Because if you need instructions on how to bake a cake, I used sandwich earlier, but you know what, that's pretty simple. I guess if you need to know to get out the bread first, then this is how you're going to figure that out. So you start on the left, you go to the right. Are there any parentheses? Yeah, there are. 41 minus 9 is 32. And then again, like I said, I'm going to just write everything down as it is, okay? Next thing I'm going to do is revisit PEMDAS again. I'm going to start back at the parentheses. Do I have any parentheses? I actually do have parentheses here, but I'm not going to do them because this is like bringing in a particular number. That's the purpose of these parentheses, is it just brought in -2. This is like a whole box that has stuff inside of it that needs to be taken out first. And so this is what we took out. So now we need to go back over here. These guys are on the same level. These guys are in the same level. If you're not sure what to do, go left to right. So left is 32 divided by 4. That's 8. And then again, I'm going to write that I have times -2 left. And in fact, how's that times? We've communicated in the past that if you have 2 times 3, you could write it like that. You could write 2 times 3 like that. You could write 2 times 3 like that. You could write 2 times 3 like that. This is 4 different ways of writing 2 times 3, okay? And in fact, in theory, we could write it backwards too, and we'd still get the same thing. Let's move on. So 8 times -2, that's all that we have left, so it's clearly -16. Now, what I did in one class is I involved Google. So I'm going to pause the video so that you don't have to watch me type and all that stuff, open the browser, yada, yada. I'm going to pull up Google and see what it thinks. All right, I'm going to do this like stop motion. So here's the first stop. We got Google open. I don't know if you can see it just because I'm never 100% sure how this works, but check it out. There is the problem typed in, 41 minus 9 divided by 4 times 2. And I'm going to hit stop again. I just hit enter and I got -16. So let me zoom in. There it is. I have absolutely no reason to lie to you. Oh, but what is interesting is that, so by the way, the lie part is like, I didn't like cheat and make it be -16. So what's interesting is how Google interpreted this is it was like, listen, the way you type this in, this is what you must have meant. 41 minus 9, then divide by 4, then multiply by -2. It used parentheses. It used the parentheses to communicate the order. That's what we're doing here, okay? So that was the drill sergeant's way of doing it. Now let's talk about the whatever guy. So let's just be whatever guy, okay? So whatever. We have 41 minus 9. Okay, that's in a box. You got to respect the box. Let's go ahead and write down the rest of the stuff we got. But you know what? I think... You know, it says multiplication's next, so let's do this multiplication right here, and we get -8. Okay, cool. 32 divided by -8 is -4. Well, is it? Is that the sandwich? Did we do that right? Is that it? No, we did not do this right. Okay, this is the right answer, and it's not just because Google says, it's because that's the directions. That's the order of operations. And if you're like, I don't understand why we call it order of operations, because in math class, there are operations, Addition is one of them. Subtraction is one of them. Multiply is one of them. Divide is one of them. Doing things in parentheses and doing exponents. Those are the operations that we have, okay? So that's, when do you do which ones? Well, somebody had to come up with a system. This is our system. PEMDAS, GEMDAS, whatever you call it. Let's do number 5. PEMDAS, starting here, going there. Well, let's go and look. We have parentheses. There's the first box, yeah? Inside of that box is another box. Okay, so we actually need to go to the innermost box and do that work first. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do that. 6 minus 5 is 1. Not that hard, right? And I'm just going to copy everything else down. Okay, now I still have parentheses, so I still should do that. 13 minus 1 is 12 divided by 4. And now there's only one step left, right? And it's that you get 3. I'm not going to do the whatever. You know, okay, let's do the whatever guy one more time just because I like talking like the whatever guy. So what if we did 13 minus 6 minus 5 divided by 4? Well, I mean, of course, you do division before you do these guys. So negative 5 divided by 4 is negative 1.2. If you don't believe me, you know, that's okay because I'm the whatever guy. Now, I guess, all right, let's just do all of our subtraction. 13 minus 6 is 7. 7 minus 5 is 2. And 2 minus 1.2 is 0.8. And if you're like, that's stupid, Mr. Math, no one would ever do things that way. Prove me wrong. I've seen some crazy people do some crazy things. All right, we got more PEMDAS. Inside of our parentheses is where we're going to start. Inside our parentheses, we have an exponent. There it is. So if you don't know what an exponent means, 3 to the second power means it is 3 times 3 that many times. So 2 times. So not that hard, right? So here we go. We have 9 times 2 inside the parentheses divided by 3. We still have parentheses, so we should do that next. 9 times 2 is 18, then divided by 3, and we get 6. PEMDAS, we have 2 to the third power times 19 minus 2 times 4. Okay, so we need to go inside of our parentheses, right? And inside those parentheses, I'll use green for inside, why not? We don't have any other parentheses, so we're done. We don't have any exponents, so we're done. We do have multiplying. We have 2 times 4. So check this out. 2 to the third, parentheses, 19. What did I do then in green? Okay, minus 8. All right, so back to this. We start again, and we kind of ask ourselves, do we have parentheses? And yes, we do. We have them right here, right? Inside the parentheses is just one thing, right? It's 9 minus 8, so that is 9. And if you're like, but now what's happening here? Well, what was happening here is still happening. That 2 to the third power is technically multiplying right here, okay? But we still are technically, yes, we start here and go this direction, but every time, technically every time we do anything, we go back and start again. It's almost like you're baking a cake or making a sandwich, and you're like, okay, do we still have the bread? Check. Okay, do we got these ingredients out? Did we do them yet? Has anything changed? We have to check it. So now we have exponents. 2 to the third power, 2 to the third means we have 2 times 2 times 2. If you can't do this math in your head, that's okay. 2 times 2 is 4 times 2 is 8. We have 8 times 9. It's 72. Okay? Negative 6 minus 7 plus 6 times 10. This parentheses can't really be done It's just bringing over this negative 6, okay? So really, I can get rid of it if I feel like it. Negative 6 minus 7 plus 6 times 10. If you don't want to write this as an x, write it as a dot. I don't care. But here we are. Do we have any parentheses? No. So check mark. Do we have any exponents? No. Do we have multiplying? Yes. Right here. So bring everything down. And now 6 times 10 is 60. Where did I get this plus sign? Right there. This would only change if maybe that was a negative 10. And this would be then subtract 60. So let's go back to what are we doing? We start technically ask here. We go this direction. And we're just going to go left to right. Left to right. Negative 6 minus 7 is negative 13 plus 60. Now, if you are having trouble with this stuff, this is a layer of understanding that we need to have, is that, okay, I mean, we can think through this a bunch of ways. Here's 0, here's negative 13, and we are about to add, we're about to go in the positive direction, 60. Well, I've drawn this little arc over the 0 to communicate we're going to be on the positive side, right? So here's what I'm going to do in order to complete that, is I'm going to say, you know what? Let's do 60 minus 13. Because if we were at 60 and we just subtracted 13, it would be the same concept. We would travel to the same number, so to speak. So let's do this. You can, if you need to, draw it out like this even. It's 47, but it is, and it's positive 47. So, I mean, that's it. Negative 13 plus 60 is 47. All right, the problems are getting a little uglier. You might be thinking, everything's been so easy, but I mean, look at these last few. They are not messing around, okay? So, do we have parentheses? I mean, this is where we start, right? Yes. Yes, we do. We have one set here. We have one set here. So, you can deal with both of these boxes, both of these groups, both of these parentheses at the same time. 1 minus 3 is negative 2. And then on the outside was the squared. And if you're like, what is that? It's that, okay? Now, if you're like, oh, but we can't deal with the other thing. Yeah, we can. We need to deal with this other box. So inside this box is more than one thing happening. We have an exponent and we have minus 15. Well, according to PEMDAS, we deal with the parentheses, then the exponents. So 4 to the third power is really 4 times 4 times 4, which is 16 times 4, which is 64. So check this out. We have 64 minus 15, and our parentheses aren't gone yet because we haven't finished what's inside of them yet. And if you're like, but what about these parentheses? Should they be gone? Because this is negative, I want to keep them. It's like I have a special container for my negative number, okay? So I'm going to put him on hold, and I'm going to go over here and do the blue one. 64 minus 15, that is 49. The plus sign is in between. Negative 2 squared. So negative 2 squared is like this. It's negative 2 times negative 2. Notice, again, I wrote my negatives in these little containers because I really want everyone to know that I brought 2 negative 2's. And negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4. So negative 2 squared is 4 plus 49. We get 53. All right, like I said, these get a little crazy looking. Negative 7 times 2 to the 4th. Actually, let's back up. How do we start even reading this? We have the top, then the bottom. I mean, it's just like how you read a book. You read from top to bottom, left to right. So we have negative 7 times 2 to the 4th power over 18 minus 12 divided by 3 minus negative 2. And if you're thinking, dude, there's no way I can do this. Yes, you can, okay? We start with the parentheses. But Where are our parentheses? Is it just these? No, not really, because that is just like our container for this 2, this negative 2. So here are our parentheses. You ready? They're here and they're here. It's like we're saying, listen, the top needs to be its own thing. The bottom needs to be its own thing. So in this top container, we have an exponent. We can deal with that. 2 to the 4th power is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, which is 4 times 2 times 2, which is 8 times 2, which is 16. So in that container, we have negative 7 times 16. We can go to the bottom container and deal with that one now if we want to, or we can finish the top container. It's really up to us. But you know what? Let's go down to the bottom one. So we have 18 minus 12 divided by 3. Well, which one should we do first? Hopefully you said division because it's before subtraction. So what's negative 12 divided by 3? Is negative 4. So in this bottom container, we have 18 minus 4. And don't forget the minus negative 2 to the right. That just drops down right there. Okay. Now we still technically have parentheses. The top needs to be simplified now. 7 times 16. Okay. If you can't do that in your head. I wrote down 17. I meant to write down 16. If you can't do that in your head, that's okay. Write it down, dude. 7 times 6 is 42. 7 times 1 is 7 plus 4 is 11. 112. Got it? Got it. So, the top is now negative 112. Why is it negative? That negative right there. On bottom, 18 minus 4, that's a little easier, is 14. And right here is minus negative 2. This is getting much more doable now, right? But I got bad news for some of you. This is a fraction minus a whole number. So it's a fraction. So just to kind of save myself a little bit of area here, I'm going to scratch that out and do this. Whoop, boop, 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 boop. Any whole number, really any number, can be written over 1 like that. Now, when you add or subtract fractions, you need a CD. What does that stand for? It stands for common denominator. And if you're like, no, that's not what you taught us. When you multiply or divide, you do not need a CD. No, you do not need one. But we are subtracting, so we need a common denominator. Well, what would you like to do first? Well, there's going to be 2 types of you. There's the group on the left side says, listen, we can reduce this fraction before we begin. And there's going to be the group on the right side who says, nope, we can't do that. So I'm going to copy this for both groups real quick. Let me grab my little copier here. There it is. And I need to copy it again. So where's my duplicate button? Duplicate. There it is. And there it is. Okay. So for those of you who are like, well, we cannot reduce it, then what you need to do is multiply negative 2 over 1 by 14 over 14. And you end up getting, let's just go ahead and do this. This negative right here and this negative become positive. So positive 2 times 14 is 28 over 14. Yeah? This guy, I mean, we can still kind of duplicate him again because we didn't do anything with him, right? Let's make him a little smaller. And now what are we doing? Well, since this became positive, this is now adding. And you might think, well, gosh, it's 112 negative 112 plus 28. Well, up here I did, where was it? Up here I did the number line. Down here, let's talk about our feelings. You have been insulted 112 times, and someone's about to give you 28 compliments. Is that enough to make you feel positive? No, it's not. So let's go ahead and do this, and we can now get to, as long as we make sure and make the answer negative, we will get to the right answer. So I'm going to do some borrowing here, right? And we get negative 84 over 14. Why is it 14? Because of the common denominator. And now we have to divide stuff. We have to divide, we have to reduce. So can we divide this by 2 and by 2? Yes, we can. And we get negative 42 over 7. But dude, we can actually divide that, believe it or not, by 7. 7 times 6 is 42. So we get negative 6 over 1. The answer is just negative 6. Crazy, huh? Okay, so let's just slide over here real quick. I need some of you to still be going, okay, but what about that reducing thing? Because I really don't like common denominator stuff. Okay, well, let's reduce this. Let's go ahead and throw the minus negative 2 over 1 right here. And now we can divide this. Let's divide this by 2 over 2. In fact, let's cheat. Because we saw that we could divide it by 2 and 7, that tells us we can actually just divide by 14. So let's do that. And you know what? Let's not do that, because that feels crazy, right? To divide 112 by 14. So let's not do that just yet. Or maybe I'll be even wrong. I don't know. So divide 112 by 2. We get 56 over 7. Minus negative 2 over 1. Well, I wasn't crazy, because now we can divide those both by 7, and you get negative 8 over 1 minus negative 2 over 1. At some point, we need to deal with this double negative. So we get negative 8 over 1 plus, I realized I was about to write in black, plus 2 over 1. Well, guess what negative 8 plus 2 is? It's negative 6. Didn't we say the answer was negative 6? Yeah, we did. So if you're like, oh my gosh, that was the longest problem I've ever seen in my life. Well, let me clean it up and then show you how, like, you maybe could attempt it if you weren't obsessed with writing out every single step like a math teacher. So, okay. I just copied it. Let me zoom out and put it somewhere else so we could do this problem. Here it is. There it is, right? Okay, great. If I wasn't obsessed with showing every step, then I'm still going to look at the top. And what I'm going to do is 2 to the 4th. And I'm going to kind of just count this out in my head. 2 times 2 is 4. Times 2 is 8. Times 2, 16. So there was the negative 7 times 16. Let's see. On the bottom section, you could probably do that in your head, because you know that 12 divided by 3 is 4. And if you can't do it in your head, why don't you just write little numbers down next to you? 18 minus 4 is 14. That wasn't that bad, right? This part right here, I'm going to just go ahead and write plus 2, because the negative is positive like that, right? So now let's deal with the 7 times 16. I'm going to do 7 times 16, which is 7 times 10 plus 7 times 6. 70 plus 42 is 112. That's how I do stuff like that in my head. So we have negative 112 over 14 plus 2. Okay. This is where I might actually start having to write some things down, because as I look at this, none of the lights just start flashing that, oh, 14 times 8 is 112. Who knows that? Not me. So I would start probably reducing this thing. So if we reduce it, it's divide by 2. You get negative 56 over 7. And then a light goes off that, wait a second, this is just negative 8 plus 2, and I get negative 6. So, all right, you might say, well, listen, math guy, that you might be really good at math, and so that was really easy for you. But all of that, like if I were to shrink this down Here, can I even, here, let me try and grab all this math. I've now highlighted it all. If I shrink it down to about the size of the stuff we just did, I mean, I think it's going to be competitively shorter. You know what I mean? Maybe it's not the right size. I don't know. But anyway, I think that is not as crazy as showing every single step, which I showed over here. You can do this. You just need to do some more, get some confidence, get some experience, and you can do this stuff. So you might be going, oh my gosh, that was 30 minutes to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 problems, and I have 8 more to do. No, I think it would take 30 minutes like it took me to explain that, listen, we have a drill sergeant, we have a whatever guy, we have peanut butter and jelly, we have operations. What are the operations? What order should they be done in? What does Google think? All that stuff is what took me forever. Showing every little detail and even doing what the whatever guy would do when he's wrong. I did that 3 times. That's what takes 31 minutes now. So hopefully you can do this. Let me know what questions you got. See ya.